Let me tell you something real quick. When a man and a woman stop contacting each other, it's not always a bad thing. Matter of fact, sometimes it's the best blessing God ever sent with no return address. Cause see, silence. Silence speaks louder than any "I miss you" text you never got. They think something's wrong. They assume distance means disconnection. That quiet equals conflict. But let me break it to you. Silence isn't always about rejection. Sometimes it's a reset. Sometimes it's the exact thing. Two people need not to break them, but to build them separately so they can meet again stronger, clearer, wiser, in a world where everybody's yelling over each other, trying to prove a point, trying to be right. Instead of really, silence becomes a superpower. It's where truth lives, it's where emotions settle, and most importantly, it's where healing begins. See, when a man and a woman stop communicating, that's when the real conversations start inside your own soul. That's when you begin to heal what you ignored while you were too busy talking, explaining, chasing, and defending. Let me paint a picture. Think about a wound. If you keep picking at it, if you never let it breathe, it gets infected. But the moment you cover it, give it time, give it space, it starts to heal. That's what silence does for emotional wounds. It protects them while they close. It allows scar tissue to form. Not so you forget what happened, but so you remember what you survived. People always rush back into contact saying, "I miss you," thinking it'll fix everything. But sometimes "I miss you" is just another way of saying, "I don't know how to sit with myself." Sometimes we crave the noise because it distracts us from doing the deep work, the internal work. We'd rather keep the line open and feel fake intimacy than disconnect and feel lonely. But real growth happens in the silence. That's where your spirit recalibrates. Let's talk about relationships. You ever seen a couple that breaks up and gets back together every 2 weeks? That's not love. That's fear of silence. That's two people who don't know how to be alone. They're addicted to the cycle, not the connection. Silence would force them to confront that truth, but instead they keep the volume up, the text flowing, the arguments loud, because silence would mean accountability. See, when there's no noise, no one else to blame, no text to reply to, no stories to stalk. That's when you face yourself. That's when you ask, what did I do wrong? What have I been settling for? What patterns have I repeated? And those questions don't come easy. They only show up when the world quiets down. You ever had your phone stop ringing from someone who used to blow it up every day? It hurts, don't it? That sudden switch, that unfamiliar silence. But that's not punishment. That's the universe removing a crutch. That's life saying, you leaned on that too hard, now stand on your own. And once you learn how to do that, once you get used to your own company, your own peace, you'll never chase chaos again. Let me give you a real life example. I know a woman who went through a painful breakup. She was shattered, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. All she wanted was for him to call to say sorry, to fix it. But he didn't. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months. At first she thought the silence was punishment. She cried every night, questioning her worth. But in that silence, something powerful happened. She started going to the gym. She started journaling. She reconnected with friends she hadn't seen in years. She found herself again when he finally did reach out. She didn't even want to call anymore. Not out of anger, out of clarity, out of self-respect. That silence that once broke her, it became her teacher and baby. Let me tell you something. The best lessons in life don't come from people's mouths. They come from their absence. Sometimes silence is the only way for two people to realize what they truly mean to each other. If someone disappears and you don't feel their absence, that's not your soulmate, that's your distraction. But if there's silence, you want a real test of someone's heart, pull back, fall silent, don't give, don't chase, don't entertain. Then watch if they fight for your presence, if they miss your energy, if they reach out with no agenda. That's someone who sees you. But if they ghost you like you were never there, let that go. Don't mourn it. Thank the silence for revealing it. Let's talk about how silence reveals your own intentions too. You ever notice how when things go quiet, you hear your own thoughts louder? The silence doesn't just expose others, it exposes you. It shows you what you're afraid of, what you're hoping for, what you've been tolerating. That space where nobody's texting you back. That's your mirror. That's your check-in moment. That's where you stop asking, why didn't they call? And start asking, why did I need them to? Silence teaches you about patterns, about peace, about priorities. You start seeing what you need instead of what you want. You realize some people only stayed in your life because you never gave them a chance to leave. You kept filling the silence with effort, so they never had to show theirs. But once the noise stopped, you saw clearly you were the one carrying the connection. the whole time. People will tell you all day that they care, but when the line goes dead, when the attention fades, when the spotlight turns off, that's when care becomes a verb, not a sentence. That's when real love checks in and fake love checks out. You don't need closure. You don't need one last conversation. You need to listen to the silence. That's the closure. That's the message. That's the truth. In bold letters, think about it. You ever had a job interview? Go great. They tell you we'll call you soon, and then nothing. No call, no email, just silence. That's not confusion. That's clarity. They moved on, no hard feelings. But now, same thing with people. If someone leaves you on red emotionally, if their effort drops off the moment you stop pouring in, that's the loudest their intentions will ever be. You don't need a lot of words. You need clear behavior. You want to know what's real. Step back, stop calling, stop texting, stop chasing, stop checking up on people who only show up when it's convenient. Watch what happens when you create space, because distance doesn't lie. It just exposes everything that was hiding behind your constant effort. Sometimes we're so deep in it, so emotionally attached, so used to their presence that we confuse consistency with care. But real talk, some people only consistent because you made it easy for them. You carried the weight of the connection. You initiated every conversation you made, the plans you forgave first. You overlooked the red flags. You kept that bond alive. But the moment you step back, the truth steps forward. Distance is a mirror. It reflects what was really there all along. If they care, they'll close that gap. They'll feel that space. They'll reach for you. But if they don't, if your absence feels like relief to them instead of a loss, that's all you need to know. That's not love. That's not friendship. That's not loyalty. That's convenience. And sometimes what hurts the most isn't that they're gone, but that they were never really present in the first place. They were just filling a spot until something better came along or until you stopped trying. Let me tell you a story. A woman poured everything into a man, energy, time, emotion. Every morning she sent that good morning text. Every weekend she made time, rearranged her schedule just to be available. Every fight she was the peacemaker. But one day she stopped. She didn't text, didn't call, didn't explain. Just pause, not to be petty, but to observe. And what happened? Silence. Days passed. Nothing. No calls. No where you at. No, are you okay? It hit her like a truck. She had been in that relationship alone. She was dating a ghost with a heartbeat. That's what Tance does. It tells the story without words. You can fake a text, you can fake a smile, you can fake attention in the moment, but you can't fake effort when there's nothing in it for you anymore. That's where people show who they are. Think about it like this. When you're standing too close to a painting, you can't see the whole picture. It's blurry. You miss the flaws, the details. But when you step back, the whole image comes into focus. Same thing with people. When you're too emotionally involved, too close, too wrapped up in the daily communication, you overlook a lot. You make excuses. You convince yourself maybe they're just busy or maybe I'm overthinking. But when you create that distance, when you stop engaging, you get clarity. Distance clears the fog and puts the truth in and don't get it twisted. This ain't just about romantic relationships. This is family, friends, business, any relationship you ever had, that friend who was always around when you were going out laughing, living it up. But when you hit a rough patch, they disappeared like they never knew you. That distance showed the truth. They weren't your friend. They were just around for the good vibe. They were loyal to the moment, not to you. Or maybe it's that family member who always needs a favor, always wants something from you. But the second you stop being useful, they vanish. That's not blood, that's burden, disguised as connection. And the distance revealed it. Here's the part most people miss. The truth that distance shows you will hurt. It will shake you. It will humble you. But don't ignore it. Don't try to justify it. Don't run back just to avoid the pain. Because if you go back to someone after the distance already showed you their true self, you're not a victim, a volunteer. You ever seen someone go through a breakup and glow up? Not because they were faking it, but because the distance helped them find themselves. That space became healing. That silence became sacred. That separation became salvation. Some people are distractions. Distance is what reveals them. Let's go even deeper. Distance doesn't just show you who they are, it shows You who you are when you step away from someone and feel peace instead of panic. That's a sign that's your soul saying thank you for finally letting go. You might have been addicted to the pattern, the comfort, the routine, but distance makes you confront what you were really holding on to. And most times it wasn't love, it was fear, it was ego, it was the idea of what could be, not the reality of what was. So many people stay close because they don't want to lose what little they have. But distance will show you that losing something fake is the first step to finding something real, is not rejection and his redirection. And it takes courage to step back. It takes strength to watch what happens when you're no longer available. But it's the only way to know the difference between who's attached to you and who's aligned with you. Distance reveals priorities. If they wanted to, they would. If they valued you, they'd show it. If they respected you, they'd reach out. Love doesn't forget loyalty, doesn't stay silent. Effort doesn't fade. So when distance pulls people away, let it. You're not being abandoned. You're being redirected to what's real. And the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than a comfortable lie. Lack of effort is an answer. It's not a mistake. It's not miscommunication. It's not them being busy. It's a decision you don't have to beg to understand how someone feels about you. Just observe how they show up or how they don't. Because when people care, they show it. When people value you, they prove it. And when they don't, their silence, their absence, their inconsistency. That is your answer. We live in a world where people confuse words with intentions. Someone says, I miss you, but they haven't reached out in weeks. They say, you mean a lot to me, but their actions don't even reflect the bare minimum. That's where the confusion begins. But listen closely. Effort is louder than words. Effort too. L's the real story. And when it's missing, that silence isn't empty. It's full of truth. Let's talk real. You've been there. We all have. You're texting first every time you're checking up on them. Making sure they're okay, making plans, keeping the connection alive. You're carrying the whole relationship on your back, and they respond when they feel like it. They cancel plans last minute. They hit you up only when they bored or when they need something, and still you try to convince yourself. Maybe they're just tired, maybe they're overwhelmed. No, what they are is uninvested, and the lack of effort, that's your closure. You don't need a big fight. You don't need a dramatic ending. All you need to do is stop doing your part and see what happens. You ever stop texting someone just to see if they would notice and they don't? You stop checking in and they never ask where you've been. You give space, and instead of closing the gap, they disappear like you were never there. That's not heartbreak. That's reality finally catching up to the fantasy you created in your mind. And yes, it hurts, but it also heals, because once you see the truth, you stop chasing the illusion. Think about it like this. If someone told you they wanted a job but never showed up for the interview, never followed up, never called back, would you believe them? No, so why do we accept less effort in our relationships than we would in a professional setting if you wouldn't hire someone who doesn't show up? Why are you loving someone who doesn't show effort? Let me break it down with a story. A man was dating this woman who said all the right things. She told him she cared, that he mattered, that she wanted something real. But over time, he noticed he was the only one putting in work. He planned the dates. He initiated every conversation. He remembered her important days. But when his birthday came, she forgot when he got sick. She didn't check in one day. He decided to stop reaching out just to see. A week passed. Then two. Nothing. That was the answer. Not through a fight, not through a confession, but through silence, through absence, through lack of effort. That woman wasn't a villain, but she also wasn't invested. And sometimes that's worse. See, people put effort into what matters to them. You ain't never got to remind someone to take care of what they value. A mother doesn't forget to feed her child. A man passionate about his business doesn't forget to hustle someone in love, doesn't forget to love. Effort is automatic when the connection is genuine. So if someone keeps forgetting to show up for you, that's not forgetfulness, that's a priority. Speaking loud and clear. Some people will keep you around just enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to make you feel secure. They give you crowns and expect you to stay grateful. They make minimal effort and expect maximum loyalty. But here's the truth. If someone truly wants to be with you, you'll never have to wonder where you stand. They won't leave you, guessing they won't make you feel like you asking for too much. Because to the right person, effort isn't a burden, it's a joy. You ever notice how when someone really wants something, they go all in when they want a promotion, they show up early when they want their body, they hit the gym consistently, when they want their dream life, they hustle without excuses. So what makes you think love is any different if someone wants you in their life? They won't risk losing you through neglect, and don't fall for the sweet talk that comes after you pull away. Some people only miss you when you stop doing for them, but they don't miss you. They miss your effort, your energy, your convenience, the access they had to your heart without having to earn it. Don't confuse missing attention with missing affection. Real love doesn't show up when you're gone. It shows up consistently while you're there. You deserve effort that doesn't require reminders. You deserve to be someone's "I can't wait to talk to you," not their "oops, I forgot again." You deserve someone who checks in because they want to, not because you guilted them into it. You deserve someone who sees your value and matches your energy, not someone who drains it. So stop explaining your worth to people who act like you're optional. Stop giving second chances to patterns that never changed the first time. Stop begging for bare minimum and calling it love. Let their lack of effort be the answer that frees you. Let it be the closure you were scared to accept. Let it be the turning point where you finally choose you, because the moment you stop overgiving to underinvested people is the moment your life starts to make room for the ones who are ready to give back. You owe it to yourself not to accept people back into your life just because they're sorry. Sorry doesn't build trust. Sorry doesn't rebuild consistency. Sorry doesn't erase patterns. What matters is who they are when they come back, not what they say to get you to lower your guard. People can miss you for all the wrong reasons. Loneliness is not the same as love. Regret is not the same as realization. And someone wanting to come back doesn't mean they've grown. It might just mean they finally notice your absence cost them more than they expected. See, we live in a world where people confuse guilt with growth. They come back crying, not because they've changed, but because they lost access. They're not sorry they hurt you. They're sorry you finally had enough. They're not feeling guilty because they understand your value. They feel guilty because they underestimated how strong you become without them. And that right there is the difference. You ever have someone come back after months, maybe even years, and they say all the right things? "I've changed. I know what I lost. I was going through things." And for a moment, your heart softens, right? You remember the good times, the laughs, the comfort, but then that same behavior creeps back in, the same patterns, the same excuses, because time doesn't create growth. Accountability does. You can be gone for 2 years and still be the same person you were when you left, if there's no reflection there. Is no transformation. Let me give you a real life example. A man walked away from a woman who loved him deeply. She was loyal. She was there when he had nothing. She encouraged him, supported his dreams, lifted him up when he couldn't lift himself. But he got bored, he got distracted. He thought the grass was greener, so he left, went silent, started entertaining someone new. And when that didn't work out, guess what? He came back, said he missed her, said he made a mistake. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw the same man. No growth, just guilt. No change, just charm. And she realized, you don't get to return to the version of me you walked away from without becoming the version of you I deserved all along. Growth doesn't knock on the door with flowers and apologies. Growth shows up in how they move different, how they respect your boundaries, how they listen instead of defend, how they prioritize communication, how they no longer make you question your worth. If they come back and expect you to accept the same treatment because they feel bad, that's not growth. That's manipulation dressed in emotion. You have to understand you are not a rehabilitation center for people who refuse to change. You're not a resting place for someone's guilt. You're not a therapy session for their unfinished healing. You are not here to suffer while they figure it out. You are allowed to demand progress, not promises, actions, not apologies, consistency, not chaos. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say when someone returns is, "Show me." Don't tell me you've changed. Show me you've grown. Don't tell me you value me. Show me in how you treat me, how you protect the connection, how you show up when it's hard. Because anyone can love you when it's convenient, but only someone who's grown can love you when it's uncomfortable. Love is not about perfection. It's about maturity. And maturity is measured in how we handle discomfort, not how we dance around it. You ever notice how some people only come back when they see you glowing, when your peace makes noise, when you finally happy without them? That's not growth. That's entitlement. That's someone who thought you'd never move on, someone who thought you'd always be available, someone who thought their absence wouldn't change you, but it did. And now that you've leveled up, they want to circle back and act like they never left. But hear me, just because they back doesn't mean they belong. Sometimes people come back not because they love you, but because they lost control, and love without responsibility is just chaos waiting to happen again. So if they return, let them come with receipts, with change habits, with a renewed mind, with effort that doesn't have to be requested. Let them prove over time that the space they asked for was used to grow, not to escape. And if they can't, if all they bring is guilt, you have every right to say, I've grown too, and I no longer fit in the space where you left me. You're not cruel for requiring growth. You're not heartless for asking someone to meet you where you are now, not where you were back then. You've been through too much to keep repeating cycles just to avoid the pain of saying no. Growth is not just for them. It's for you too, to recognize that your heart deserves someone who returns with more than words, someone who brings peace, not confusion, stability, not stories, presence, not pity. Because at the end of the day, love isn't about who comes back. It's about who comes correct. Because in a world full of noise, distractions, chaos, and people who thrive off confusion, your peace is your power. Your peace is your sanctuary. It's the one thing that keeps you from losing yourself when the world tries to pull you in every direction. And let me tell you something. Not everybody deserves access to that kind of sacred space inside you. There are people who will smile in your face and poison your atmosphere. They'll drain your energy, dump their problems on you and leave feeling lighter while you're left carrying their weight. And if you don't learn to guard your peace, you'll find yourself constantly giving pieces of your soul away just to keep everyone else comfortable. That is not your purpose. You weren't put on this earth to be everybody's emotional. You weren't created to fix broken people who have no intention of healing. Your purpose is not to sacrifice your peace for people who wouldn't even sacrifice their ego for you. Sometimes you have to step back and ask yourself, does this add to my peace or steal from it? That friendship you keep forcing, that relationship, you keep saving, that job that's breaking your spirit. What is it really costing you? Because if your peace is the price, then it's too expensive. You've got to stop paying for other people's dysfunction with your well-being. Your inner calm is not up for negotiation. Let me take you into a real moment. You wake up in the morning, ready to conquer the day. You got your coffee, your mindset is focused, your goals are aligned, then your phone buzzes. It's that one person, the one who always calls with drama, the one who never asks how you are, but always dumps how they feel. And by the time you hang up, your mood is shot, your spirit feels heavy, your focus is gone. That's not coincidence. That's spiritual warfare. You let someone tap into your peace without boundaries, and you can't keep doing that and expect to grow. Peace isn't passive. It's a battle. It's choosing silence over drama. It's walking away from what doesn't serve you. It's blocking, deleting, and distancing when necessary. It's choosing your sanity over temporary validation. Some people will call it selfish. Let them, because the same people calling you selfish are the ones who never once considered how their behavior affected you. They never noticed how much you poured. They never cared how much you lost trying to keep them afloat. So now it's your turn to choose you. You've got to treat your peace like it's your life, because it is. Why? You can't function at your higher self when your soul is in a constant state of survival. You can't hear God clearly when your spirit is constantly distracted by chaos. You can't walk in purpose. If you're always walking on eggshells around people who bring storms into your life, protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is not everyone deserves a seat at your table. And some of them, they don't even deserve to know where the table is. Look around your life. Who's stealing your peace quietly? That friend who only calls to vent but disappears when you need them. That partner who loves to argue but never listens. That family member who makes you feel small every time you succeed. Sometimes the loudest thieves aren't the ones who yell. They're the ones who chip away at your joy. Little by little, they use guilt. They use obligation. They use blood is thicker than water to keep you chained to pain. But let me tell you, peace is thicker than pressure and family or not. If they disrupt your peace, you have every right to create distance. Now, I'm not saying life's always going to be calm. Life will throw storms. But when you guard your peace, you don't let external storms create internal damage. You can stand in the middle of chaos and still say, I'm good. Because peace doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you've trained your mind and spirit to stay rooted, no matter what's going on around you. That's strength, that's maturity, that's purpose in action. You've got to be bold about your peace. That means not responding to every insult, not attending every argument you're invited to, not trying to fix everyone who doesn't want to be fixed. Sometimes the best thing you can do is smile, nod, and walk away. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Not everything deserves your energy. Some things are beneath your spirit. Some battles were never yours to fight. And the moment you learn that you reclaim your power, you weren't born to live in survival mode. You weren't born to spend your days anxious, exhausted, and emotionally drained. You were born to thrive, to walk in purpose, to radiate light. But that only happens when you make peace. You're non-negotiable. Your goal isn't just to succeed, it's to succeed in peace. Because what's the point of winning in life if your soul is tired, your mind is loud, and your heart is broken? So today, make the decision, guard your peace like it's your purpose. Because the truth is, it is. I know it feels like rejection. I know it feels like betrayal. I know it hurts when the people you love walk away, when the job you thought was secure suddenly ends, when the relationship you gave your all to falls apart. But let me tell you something that will flip your whole mindset. God isn't punish. He's positioning you. That disconnection you crying over is often the very thing that will lead you into your destiny. Sometimes the storm isn't sent to destroy you. It's sent to reroute you. You ever been in a place that looked like a blessing, but deep down something in your spirit felt off? You stayed anyway, didn't you? Because it was familiar, because it looked good on paper, because it felt comfortable. But let me remind you, comfort is the enemy of calling. God will sometimes disconnect you from what you think you want to give you what you actually need. And it never feels good when it happens. It feels like life is falling apart, but in reality, it's falling into place. Let me give you a real-world example. A woman had been with a man for 7 years. She saw a future with him. She prayed for him. She stuck beside him through struggle. But the relationship became toxic. Every time she tried to leave, her heart pulled her back until one day he just left. No explanation, no closure, just silence. She was devastated, broken, questioning her worth. But 2 years later, she's married to a man who prays with her, who honors her, who pushes her to purpose. Looking back, she said, "If he hadn't left me, I never would have made space for the man God intended for me all along." That's what I mean when I say God disconnects you for your direction. See, when we're too connected to the wrong people, we can't hear God clearly. Our vision gets clouded. Our purpose gets delayed. We start settling for situations that were only meant to be temporary. And when we won't leave on our own, God will shake things up. He'll shut doors you were too afraid to close. He'll break ties you were too loyal to walk away from. He'll remove people not because he wants to hurt you, but because he's trying to heal you. Some people were only assigned to a season, but we try to make them permanent. We try to carry everyone into our next chapter, but not everyone has the character to match your calling. You keep asking why they left, why it ended, why it all fell apart. And God is saying, I had to disconnect you. You couldn't hear me because you were too busy listening to them. You couldn't follow my plan because you were trying to fit into theirs. You couldn't walk in your destiny because you were stuck in their dysfunction. Let me talk to the person who feels abandoned right now. You're not broken. You're being rebuilt. You're not cursed. You're being called. God will allow some things to crumble because he knows what's ahead. He sees the traps. You don't. He hears conversations. You never will. He knows intentions behind smiles. And sometimes the only way to protect you is to disconnect you. You may feel like you're in the wilderness right now, but that's where God shapes you. That's where he separates you from the noise. That's where clarity is born. You can't take everybody where God is trying to take you. Some connections will weigh you down. Some relationships will cloud your judgment. Some environments will stifle your growth. So he pulls you out. It looks like loss, but it's really love because his no is just as powerful as his yes. And if he removes something, it's only because he's making space for better. You got to stop trying to resurrect what God buried. If it walked away, let it. If it closed, leave it. If it ended, trust that there's purpose behind the pain. Too many people are holding on to expired connections. You're trying to fight what God already freed you from. You're trying to glue together shattered pieces when God is trying to give you a new masterpiece. Let go. Trust the disconnection. Trust the process, even when it's silent, because isolation is often preparation. When God wants your full attention, he will strip away every distraction. He'll make you uncomfortable in the wrong place, so you finally move toward the right one. You might feel like you lost everything, but you didn't lose. You got released from cycles, released from confusion, released from the weight of constantly proving yourself to people who were never meant to understand you. And now in the silence, in the solitude, in the stillness, God is showing you, your strength, your worth, your power, your purpose. When you understand that God's disconnection is divine direction, you stop begging for closure. You stop chasing people who chose to walk away. You stop fighting for seats at tables you've outgrown. You realize that anything removed from your life by God was never meant to carry you into your future. And when you truly believe that your heart shifts, your faith rises, you stop seeing endings as punishment and start seeing them as preparation. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and thank God that it didn't work out. You'll praise him for the people who left. You'll celebrate the doors that closed because it all led you here to a life aligned with your purpose, to peace, to growth, to clarity. God didn't disconnect you to break you. He did it to build you. And what's coming next will make sense of everything that didn't. Let me tell you something powerful. The greatest shifts in your life will come after the greatest shakeups. The silence, the separation, the disconnection, it all had purpose. You didn't lose anything. You gain vision, you gain clarity, you gain yourself. See, God never takes without the intention of giving you something. Arieta, he didn't walk you through that valley to leave you there. He walked you through it so you could come out stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose than ever before. You got to understand this. Sometimes your rejection is just redirection wrapped in disguise. And baby, rejection doesn't mean you're not enough. It means God is making room for what's more than enough. Stop crying over closed doors when those doors were leading you nowhere. Don't let temporary pain trick you into thinking you have a permanent problem. God doesn't close chapters unless it's time to write a better one. And hear me loud, your next chapter will be your best chapter if you don't stop turning the page less. Brown once said, you got to be hungry for your purpose, hungry for peace, hungry for alignment. You can't afford to go back to what broke you. You can't afford to shrink yourself just to fit into rooms you've outgrown. You've been through too much, cried too long, sacrificed too deeply to let the past rob your future. So hold your head up, wipe your future, square your shoulders. You didn't come this far just to come this far. Steve Harvey says, your setback is a setup for your comeback. And you better believe that what looked like the end was actually your beginning. What looked like heartbreak was really a heart realignment. You had to lose them so you could find yourself. You had to feel the pain so you could recognize the power that was sleeping inside you. Every tear was watering a seed, and now it's your season to bloom. Look at your life and realize this. You're not broken. You're breaking through. You're not lost. You're being led. You're not forgotten. You're being prepared. The pain had purpose. The silence had sound. The ending was the entrance to something divine. And if you could see what's coming, you stop mourning. What left God isn't done with you. He's just getting started. Let me speak into your spirit right now. You are chosen. You are called. You are equipped. You are not here by accident. You are the answer to somebody's prayer, the light in someone's darkness, the voice someone needs to hear, the change someone is waiting for. So don't sit in the ashes of who left or what ended. Rise up. The fire didn't destroy you. It refined you. You are gold, now unshakable, unapologetic. You think it's over, but it's not. You think you're stuck, but you're not. You think you've lost everything. But the truth is now you finally have everything you need. You've got experience. You've got truth. You've got fire. You've got faith. And if God is for you, who can be against you? Remember this. Every great story had a moment when the hero was knocked down, but the story didn't end there. The story turned when they got back up. So this is your moment. This is your comeback. This is where you take all that pain, all that silence, all that heartbreak, and use it to fuel your purpose. Muhammad Ali said, I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit, suffer now, and live the rest of your life as a champion. And that's exactly what you're doing right now. You suffered, you trained. Now it's time to rise, not as a victim, but as a victor, not as someone forgotten, but as someone forged in the fire. So walk out of that pain with your head high, walk into your destiny like it's already yours. Stop doubting, stop questioning, stop looking back. Everything behind you is nothing compared to what's ahead. You are a warrior. You are a survivor. You are a testimony in motion, and your story, oh, your story is about to shake the